everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am so sorry that it has been such a long time since I've uploaded any pregnancy updates or any videos in general. The last 6 weeks have just been really busy with traveling and nesting and trying to get ready for this little boy's arrival. And time has just gotten away from me and I haven't really had a chance to sit down and film any videos. So I am back today to share with you all about how the last 6 weeks have gone. I have quite a bit to talk about, so this might be a bit of a longer video, so I'm just going to get right into the update. Since I have 6 weeks of updates to go through, I'm not going to go through each week individually. I'm just going to give you an overview of how the last 6 weeks have gone in general. The day I'm filming this, I'm towards the end of my 36th week of pregnancy. I'll just be talking about weeks 31 through 36. This week, in week 36, baby is the size of a papaya. Food cravings and aversions. I haven't really experienced any food cravings still. I thought that maybe the further along I got in my pregnancy, I would start experiencing more food cravings, but that has just not been the case for me. I guess not every pregnant woman experiences food cravings, and that certainly has been the case for me. So my symptoms the last 6 weeks have been overall really similar. I haven't had too much of a variance in how I've been feeling week to week. So that makes it easy for kind of giving you guys an overview of how I've been feeling. Probably my biggest symptom that I've had, especially in the last month, is swelling in my feet and in my ankles. It started off just kind of coming and going. I thought maybe it was triggered by flying and traveling, but now it's just to the point where my feet are pretty much swollen all of the time and it doesn't really go away. Along with that, my feet are really achy. If I stand for pretty much any period of time, the bottoms of my feet just ache, and I've tried all of the things to help with the swelling, you know, trying to stay off my feet and trying to elevate my feet, but also they say it's not good to just sit around all the time, so it's still important to go walk and move around and get some exercise. So I've been doing that as well, but it is what it is. My feet are swollen, and because of that, none of my shoes fit. I basically just live in flip-flops now, even though it's cold and rainy all the time here. My flip-flops are the only things I can wear. So that has been interesting, but it's just one of those things where there's really nothing I can do about it. It is what it is. Another symptom I've had mostly the last couple of weeks is just my appetite is kind of all over the place. Sometimes I don't really feel hungry, but I know that I need to eat. And then other times I'll wake up in the morning and I'm just like so hungry. So it's just interesting how that kind of varies from day to day. Another thing that I've experienced the last few weeks is fatigue. So during the day, some days I feel tired all the time, but most days the fatigue hits me right around lunchtime. Right around 12 o'clock, I'll start getting the yawns and it just doesn't go away. Sometimes I'm able to take a nap, other times not. I know that the fatigue is something that is just going to get worse probably once baby is here. So it's just something I'm dealing with and pushing through and trying to deal with it the best that I can. My sleep at night hasn't been as bad as it was in my previous updates. I think I had mentioned to you guys that I had experienced a lot of insomnia where I was just waking up and not being able to go to sleep for like chunks of hours at a time. And that has gone away, thankfully, but I still struggle with sleeping at night. So although I'm not awake for hours at a time, I am waking up often throughout the night, mostly because I can't get comfortable. There are nights where I feel like I'm waking up every hour. So I'm sure that contributes to the fatigue that I feel during the day. So the last two symptoms I'm going to talk about have really ramped up the last couple of weeks, and I know it'll probably continue to do so towards the rest of this pregnancy. But that's Braxton Hicks contractions. I mostly experience those at night when I'm trying to sleep. I think it's triggered by how I'm moving throughout the night. Sometimes I'll be woken up by the tightening feeling in my belly, and this baby does not like me sleeping on my right side. Whenever I roll over and try to sleep on my right side, I have Braxton Hicks contractions, and they'll just keep happening until I change positions, and then it goes away. So I'm assuming it just has to do with where he's positioned in my belly. I guess laying down on my right side just triggers those Braxton Hicks contractions. But I also feel them throughout the day sometimes. Like the other day, I was kind of like in a cleaning frenzy. I was cleaning the kitchen and sweeping the floors and vacuuming and doing all this stuff, and I started to have quite a few Braxton Hicks contractions back to back, and I thought, okay, maybe I'm doing too much all at once. And so I laid down on my left side, drank some water, and they went away. So those have definitely picked up in frequency. But along with that, sometimes I feel like I'm having cramps, and it's just kind of like that feeling when I'm about to get my period. It's that crampy feeling in my lower abdomen. And I later found out that those are actually mild contractions that I'm experiencing, and I'll talk about that more later in this video. But those crampy feelings just kind of come and go. Some days I don't feel them at all, and then other times I'll feel them a few times throughout the day. But again, like the Braxton Hicks contractions, I feel those crampy feelings in my abdomen mostly at night when I'm sleeping. So as far as my symptoms go, that is pretty much all of the major symptoms I've been experiencing the last 6 weeks. Aside from that, I've had a lot of other exciting things going on. Probably the biggest thing that happened was that when I was 31 weeks pregnant, I traveled home to California to my parents' house, and I had my baby shower, which was it was so incredible, and I'm so incredibly grateful to my parents and my family who really helped to put the baby shower together for me. And it was so magical. It was a Harry Potter themed baby shower, and it was such a fun day, and I feel so blessed to have so many people in my life who wanted to be there to celebrate this baby with me. And it was a great time, and I'm so incredibly grateful for everyone who helped put that together for me. So that was so much fun. After the baby shower, I traveled back here to Washington, and my mom came with me, and she and I just started washing all of the baby's clothes, and we went to Target several times to get any last minute things, you know, just kind of filling in the gaps from things that I received from the baby shower. And we got through a lot of stuff and we got all of his clothes washed, actually. And then my mom had to go back to work, so when my mom went back, my dad came out here, and he spent a few weeks with me, and he helped us out so much. He put the baby's crib together, he put shelves up in the nursery, and he did so much. I hadn't mentioned this before, but John actually was deployed overseas. He's back now, thankfully. Thank God he is back, and he made it back in time before this baby was born. That was a huge worry for me, but that's why my dad was out here helping out with setting up the crib and like other things around the house, since we didn't know exactly when John was going to be coming back and if he would make it back before the baby was born. So my dad was a huge help to us in helping us get things ready. The nursery is just about done. We just have little odds and ends that we need to find places for, but for the most part the big stuff is done. And I'm sitting in the nursery right now, if you can't tell. But I absolutely love this room. I'm hoping to put together at least a little short video for you guys to share with you the finished look of the nursery. But I love this room, and I love sitting in here and sitting in this chair and just thinking about our baby and how he's going to be here so soon, and I'm just so excited. But I feel so good now that the nursery's done, now that John is back home. I feel like I can breathe and that this baby can just come whenever he wants to come. We're ready for him. At least I think as ready as we can be. I'm sure there are things we really can't prepare for, but for the most part, I think we're ready for him. So some interesting things that have happened the last 2 weeks in particular. I have actually been to the labor and delivery unit at the hospital 3 different times in the last 2 weeks for various reasons. The first time I was sent to labor and delivery was during my 35-week checkup with my OB. She had a hard time finding baby boy's heartbeat, and when she did, it was lower than what she would like it to be. And that was a little scary. First of all, just laying there, like waiting for her to find his heartbeat was a little nerve-wracking, because normally she finds it right away. She's never struggled to find his heartbeat ever. And when she finally did find his heartbeat, I knew right away that it wasn't its normal range. It sounded much slower to me, and it was, I think, averaging 90 beats per minute, which they want it to be at least 110 beats per minute from my understanding. So I can just tell by the look on her face and the sound of the slower heart rate that things maybe weren't as they should be. And so out of precaution, my doctor wanted me to go over to labor and delivery to have a non-stress test done and just to monitor the baby and see if things improved. And luckily my dad was there with me that day, so I felt kind of, that was comforting to have him there with me. But I got hooked up to the monitors, and it took the nurse a while again to find his heartbeat, and when she did, it was still a little slow. So they had me laying down on my left side, and I was having to be on the oxygen mask. And as soon as I was put on oxygen and I was laying on my left side, he started to perk up and his heart rate improved and he started moving around a lot more. So they don't really know why his heart rate was low in the OB's office and then why it improved as soon as I got to labor and delivery. My doctor mentioned he could have been like in a really deep sleep, or it could have just been the position he was in. I don't really know, but that was really nerve-wracking for me. It was just one of those moments where I was obviously really concerned because I don't want anything to be wrong with this baby, and just hearing that his heart rate wasn't where it should be was really, really scary for me. And I tried my best to stay calm and not panic during that whole event, and I think I did a pretty good job of that. I was just trying to focus on breathing in that oxygen and staying as calm as I could, because I knew if I panicked then that wouldn't be good for him in any way. That wouldn't help the situation at all. But thankfully everything ended up being okay. His heart rate stayed good throughout the rest of the time there, so they ended up letting me go home. One thing I almost just forgot to mention was during that NST, that first one that I had, I was having those crampy feelings, and it turns out that those crampy feelings are actually very mild contractions that I was having. I just didn't know that's what it was until I was there being monitored, and the nurse said, "Oh, you're having a contraction right now." And I was like, "Oh, that's what that feeling is. Okay." I really didn't know that's what it was. It just felt like really mild cramps. But I guess they're mild contractions. So because of that, I was checked that day. I was only 35 weeks pregnant, but since I was having minor contractions and then the whole thing with baby's heart rate was weird, my doctor wanted to check my cervix to see if I was dilating at all. And at that time, at 35 weeks, I was not dilated at all. My cervix was still really high and firm, and it wasn't thinned out at all. So I was having those minor contractions, but it was not affecting my cervix at all. So that was a good sign. The second time I went to labor and delivery for an NST was because of my 36-week OB appointment. My blood pressure was really high. Well, not really high, but it was higher than what they wanted it to be. I don't remember the exact number, but it was higher than what my OB wanted it to be. And they took it several times there in the doctor's office, and it wasn't improving. So she sent me over to labor and delivery again for a non-stress test just to make sure that baby was doing okay, because his movements had slowed down a lot that previous day. And my doctor is just really cautious, and I appreciate that about her. I'd rather her be cautious and check things out and have it be nothing than her to be dismissive of symptoms or things I'm concerned about. So we went over to labor and delivery again. This time John had already made it back home. So John was with me that time, and we went over to labor and delivery. I got hooked up to the monitors again, and this time baby's heart rate was good. There was no issues with him, aside from the fact that he was just a little slower moving, but his heart rate was good. And after a while of being hooked up to the monitors, his movements did improve as well. And then after about, I'd say an hour or so, my blood pressure improved and it normalized and it was in the normal range. And so they let me go home. So that was another interesting appointment, but I'm glad everything turned out okay with that. Now, the third time I ended up going to labor and delivery for an NST was because I was having those crampy feelings again, or I was having, I guess, those very minor contractions, and they weren't going away. It wasn't like coming and going. It was just a steady cramp feeling in my lower abdomen, and it didn't improve when I drank water. I was laying down on my left side. I had eaten enough that day. Pretty much all the things they tell you to do to help make the contractions go away wasn't working, and they weren't extremely painful at all. It was just that crampy feeling, kind of just that achiness, and it wasn't the pain that was concerning me. It wasn't really painful at all to me, but it was just the fact that it wasn't going away. So I called my doctor, and she wanted me to go in to be monitored and to have another NST done. So that's what we did. So I got hooked up to the monitors, and right away baby's heart rate was good. He was moving around a lot, which was good. And they couldn't tell. They said I wasn't having full-on contractions, but my doctor said something about, like, they noticed irritability on the monitor. I guess maybe just, I don't really know what that means. I should have asked for her to be more specific on what that meant, but I wasn't having like full-blown contractions, but there was some irritability, I guess is what she called it. So that day, this was actually just a couple days ago, they decided to check my cervix again just to see if anything was happening down there, and they said that I was 1 centimeter dilated. My cervix, I guess, is still pretty high, but it's starting to soften. And they didn't really check to see if I started thinning out or not. The nurse was really cautious. She didn't want to disturb things down there, since I was still only 36 weeks pregnant. She just didn't want to be too rough, which I appreciate. So she could tell that I'm starting to dilate and my cervix is starting to soften, but she didn't check for anything more than that. I'm sorry, I've been talking so much that my throat now is like starting to get dry and itchy. So I apologize for that. But yeah, so as of 2 days ago, I am 1 centimeter dilated. My cervix is starting to soften, but that's about it. I have my 37-week appointment in just a couple of days. I don't think I'm going to have my doctor check me then, just because I was just checked on Friday and I don't want to be checked too often. I know some people are totally okay with that, and that's, you know, if that's you, that's your choice. For me, I don't know. I don't want to be checked too often. I don't want to be too focused on what is or isn't happening with that situation, because I know I could be 1 centimeter dilated for the next 4 weeks, or I could, you know, go from 1 centimeter to 5 centimeter in a matter of just hours. Like, you just don't know how your body is going to react to labor and to all of that. So I just don't want to be too focused on that number. So I think at my 37-week appointment, I won't have her check me, but maybe I'll be checked at my 38-week appointment or 39-week appointment, just depending on how I'm feeling. All of the pregnancy apps that I use have said that for first-time moms, baby usually drops around this time in pregnancy, and he hasn't dropped yet. He's still sitting pretty high up in my belly. And I don't know. I'm trying not to worry about that. John was encouraging me to just relax last night because I was talking about how he hasn't dropped yet and how I'm worried about if that's going to affect me going into labor or not. And I was just kind of spiraling with that. And so he was encouraging me to just calm down and just not worry about it, and just have faith that this baby will do what he needs to do to get in the proper position for birth. I almost forgot to mention this. The last time when I was in labor and delivery a couple days ago for that non-stress test, they also did a biophysical profile ultrasound, basically just checking on baby's heart rate, checking on his lungs, checking on the amniotic fluid level. And then they also did measurements as well. They just wanted to get an overall look of how he's doing. And he passed everything with flying colors. His size is right around where he should be at this point. So he's estimated to be 5.14 pounds, which I know could not be very accurate. I think there's like a 10% margin on either side for error. So he could be a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller, but he is measuring right on track for where he should be at this point. So everything with the ultrasound went good. So I'm super grateful for that. I think that's about it for the update. So sorry this video was so long, but I'm glad that I'm finally able to have a chance to sit down and update you guys. Now I will insert a bump date for you. I definitely have grown since I had my last update, which I think was 30 weeks. So definitely grown a much bigger belly in the last 6 weeks. I will say that I have gained more weight than what is recommended for pregnancy. I have gained over 45 pounds. It is what it is. I can't really worry about it now. The baby size is looking right on track and normal, so he's not looking any bigger than what he should be. But yeah, I can't believe that I'm 36 weeks pregnant and that really he could be here any day, and I'm still enjoying this pregnancy so much. I feel so incredibly blessed and so lucky to be experiencing this. Can't wait for him to be here. And hopefully, I hope this won't be my last pregnancy update. I'll try to give you guys an update each week from here on out. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below if you have any guesses as to when you think he's going to make his arrival. For those of you who may not know, his due date is March 18th. I have a feeling that he is going to be here earlier than that. I don't know why. I've just had that feeling this entire pregnancy that he was gonna come before his due date. So we'll see if my intuition with that is right or not. But if you have any guesses, let me know in the comments down below. If you are currently pregnant, leave me a comment down below. Let me know how far along you are and how you're feeling in your pregnancy. That'll be it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in another video very, very soon. Bye!